God made the trees. He created them, really beautiful trees. Working with the wood just gives me a peace of mind and a satisfaction that because the world is so complex, I can get into that little corner of the world and just meditate upon God while I'm working. And it really does help ease the torture that sometimes you're going through. God created us in His image, and He wants us to have that joy. So somebody can come give you $10,000, and you're going to be a mighty happy person. But after it's all spent and gone, then what are you? We need to have that joy of the Lord that is continuous each and every day, 24/7.
A lot of us have this notion that if we have everything in our lives lined up, if everything's perfect, you have the perfect job that you've always wanted, you have the husband, the children, the white picket fence, the American dream, that everything is just going to be great and then you'll be filled with joy. You know, that's a fallacy in our thinking. Just because everything is perfect doesn't make life filled with joy. Joy actually comes from the Lord, and it's something that sustains you, something that is filled up from Him, and you receive it by being filled with His love.
I believe joy of the Lord is the joy of the Lord. That doesn't change. I believe our circumstances and the things that we go through is hard. It's very hard because we have an adversary that wants to take away our joy and steal and kill and destroy everything that God wants to give us.
There's a lot of things in life that we've taken for granted or that we see on somebody else's life and say, oh, that's just for that person. Because we always sell ourselves out so cheap that this is for that person or this is for that person, or, you know, I'm getting there, and we're giving ourselves almost like saying that we can never have that when we're created for that very same joy, that we are predestined for Christ as well, that God wants us to have that same joy and that same bliss, that we see someone that really has a lot of breakthrough in. We're designed for the same joy.
If you have an emotional wound, believing that lie, and then everything that you do is to stand there and criticize and pick apart yourself, and you no longer look in the mirror and see the identity of who you are, you've now bought into a lie and you're beginning to see who you're not. The wound then becomes open and begins to fester, and you become a victim. You turn your life around and you become this victim mentality.
30-some years ago, down to 112 pounds in the hospital for 40 days. I wasn't a joyful person. I was, why God? Why God? Why God? But you know what? 30-some, 40-some years later, I minister to people about healing. When you seek God and you seek what He has and He speaks to your heart, you hang on to it. Sometimes you're not always happy and have a joy that you want every day. But I'll tell you what, the joy He does bring when you're in that down situation and releases you and pulls you out, I'm going to tell you there's nothing like it.
There is a guarantee in your life that there are going to be trials and tribulations. In fact, God promised that. It's how are we going to get through them? Because see, God said He conquered the world and all we have to do is just trust Him. We're going to go through these things, but on the other end, if you just give Him your heart through those things and don't hold bitterness or resentment or disappointment, but just trust the Lord in all things and don't lean on your own understanding of why things are the way they are, I can promise you He's going to bring you to the other side.
I really believe that the reason why us going through hard times is so prominent for us to have breakthrough. It's almost like having a job. We went and spent all of our money on stupid stuff, then like we don't have enough money for the rest of the week to buy groceries. Where it's like, I don't want to do this again. And I feel like that right there is what brings breakthrough to us. To be like, I don't want to be in this situation, God. I want to see you break through and give me steps out of this position that I'm in.
We are not victims of other people. We are not victims of the words of the enemy. We are truly empowered by God. It's who are we going to choose to listen to? Are we going to listen to the voice of truth, which truly is Christ? And are we going to allow Him to move into our lives and fulfill us to who we are? I'm telling you, we can walk through anything in life, and still have joy.
Depending on the storm or trial that we're going through, that there is breakthrough, that we've matured and we just know how special we are, that it doesn't matter, come hell or high water, that I want to enjoy this joy, that he wants to go through our day with us and not just through a really hard trial, but he wants to go through things that are fun throughout the day, the things that we find joy in. God wants to be a part of those things as well.
All of us should find people in our lives who speak goodness over us, who speak and pull out who we truly are. Because the more we hear it from others, the easier it is for us to stand and say those things over ourselves. We need to be able to stand in front of a mirror and call out all of our goodness, all of our beauty. We need to look at ourselves through the eyes of Christ. So every time you get up in front of the mirror, ask God to put on his goggles and not your own.
There's a physical joy of just the materialistic world that you live in, and there's a joy and peace that God recognizes you as one of his and that he completes the work in you that he's begun.
Be happy about the steps that you're making, because I always say making a step toward a dream is better than not taking a step for anything. Even taking one little step here, one step there. Something that's so important for us in pursuing our dream is that we're still taking one step toward our dream. We're still pursuing that thing because we know that that thing's beautiful.
So God is so faithful. If there is one character trait that I would place on my Lord, is his faithfulness. Great is thy faithfulness. He will carry you through all things.